you smell what the rock is cooking? The rock says, the rock says, the rock says, the rock. I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. You got your rules and no religion, all designed to keep you safe. But when rules start getting broken, you start questioning your faith. I have a voice that is my savior, hates to love and loves to hate. I have a voice that has the knowledge and the power to your fate. I hear voices crying, I see heroes dying, I taste blood that's trying, I feel tension rising. I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of the WWE Wrestling Talk Show with Reese Lock Jones and
Sean Randy Smith, and we bring you some sad news regarding WWE Hall of Famer, two-time WWE Hall of Famer to be exact, Razor Ramon, otherwise known as Scott Hall.
yes, as sadly death has taken its first wrestling victim of 2022.
And that victim is unfortunately Hey who we lost yesterday at the age of 63 through complications of a surgery and 3 heart attacks.
Unfortunately, he was hospitalized after falling and breaking his hip. And after going a hip replacement surgery, unfortunately, a blood clot was dislodged, which resulted in 3 heart attacks. And on March 12th, he was placed on life support before the ultimate decision was made to take him off life support on yesterday.
So we will look back at his.
Starting from where? Sorry?
Starting from NWA.
Yes, his career started in the NWA where he began a little feud with another WWE Hall of Famer,
In
the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot more matches where he's going.
However, he was only in the NWA territories from 1984 to 1985.
Yes.
And then for 4 years from 85 to 89 would be in the American Wrestling Association.
1985 all the way to 1989.
In 1987, however, he would receive a tryout with a little-known wrestling company called the World Wrestling Federation.
Always known as the known nowadays as the WWE. And that would be from 1987 to 1990.
It was a bit of a tryout. He wasn't really known in the company at the time because in 1989 he would make his first appearance in a little other company called World Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, WCW.
But then
he would have a small run in there.
Small run in there that would last until 92.
Yes. Something like that, 92. But in between there, he would, in between this time between his time at WCW, he would have some run in some international promotions along the way.
Yes, but it wasn't until 1992 that I would say that he really started to gain a real following when he was signed to WWF under the name of Razor Ramon.
The bad guy, Razor Ramon.
The man who was cool to be bad.
And as he said in a very famous quote, bad times don't last, but bad guys do. And he would have various feuds over his time in his debut year in the WWF. But one feud in particular sent him to big heights.
And that would be with
Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels.
Oh yes, it's not exactly what it is. It's well known that during this time period, Shawn Michaels was a bit of a pain in the ass to deal with.
Yes, backstage politics, just to name a few things.
And would constantly get into trouble. One of these situations would force WWE to suspend Shawn Michaels, who at the time was the Intercontinental Champion.
Yes. Leaving the Intercontinental Championship on a silver platter for one Razor Ramon.
And so after winning the Intercontinental Championship in a Battle Royal, Shawn Michaels would then come back with his own belt. Now, where have we seen that before recently?
I wonder.
Then this would result in a legendary match still talked about 28 years later.
Yes. WrestleMania, it was for to crown an undisputed Intercontinental Champion. Michaels, Razor Ramon in the very first ever ladder match at WrestleMania.
And unlike today, where you see ladders left, right, and center, they only had one ladder match to use.
Yes.
And they didn't necessarily use it that much, but when they did,
No.
it hurt. And the ultimate winner of that match would be Razor Ramon.
Yes, to win and crown himself as the undisputed Intercontinental Champion.
During his tenure with WWE, he would go on to have 3 further reigns as Intercontinental Champion, giving him a grand total of 4. Some would argue that, and it's a strong argument, that he is amongst the discussion of people who deserved but never got a World Championship.
Yes. He was known as the greatest superstar to never win a World Championship.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily go that far because there are quite a few people you could put in that list.
Yes. So around this time, unfortunately, Scott Steiner would then turn his back.
Scott Steiner?
You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Scott Hall would then turn his back, along with his partner Kevin Nash at the time, would then turn their back on WWF and sign with a rival promotion.
Yes. And this would cause the whole curtain call incident at Madison Square Garden, in which Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Sean Weltman, aka the 1-2-3 Kid, aka X-Pac, would
They would put each other in the ring.
would essentially break kayfabe and embrace in the ring before before Nash and Hall would to go over to WCW. And now this is where things got a little bit hectic.
Yes. Scott Hall would walk in on WCW, ask for a microphone, and basically declare that a war between WCW and WWF was well and truly underway.
Yes, and Nash and Hall would team with Hulk Hogan, forming one of the most outspoken groups in wrestling history, known as the New World Order.
Nice.
In
they would win various titles in the NWO.
Yes, as part of the NWO and in WCW in general, Hall would be a WCW television champion, a 2-time United States champion, and a 7-time tag team champion, 6 partnered with Kevin Nash, and 1 partnered with the Giant, aka the Big Show, aka Paul White.
And during this time as well, when WCW was eventually bought out, Scott Hall would even make a brief tenure in ECW.
and before doing that as well, he decided to mess with someone who has a history of botching people.
Yes, Goldberg. He was directly responsible for Goldberg losing his undefeated streak by tasing Goldberg in the chest with a taser.
Which then resulted in Kevin Nash winning the WCW Championship from Goldberg and the Finger Poke of Doom incident.
Oh yes, let's not talk about that.
So then when WCW eventually folded and was bought by McMahon, it was then decided by Vincent Kennedy McMahon that the WWF/E had a cancer
and that it needed to be poison.
Yes, and he's going to inject a lethal dose of poison. And then at the 2002 or No Way Out pay-per-view, the NWO re-debuted in WWE.
They did, and they would go into a very lengthy feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin, in which Paul went after, whilst Hulk Hogan and Nash went after my broadcast partner.
With both matches taking place at WrestleMania.
In
How?
which the very comical self.
Self-understanding. However, during this time period, some personal demons would catch up with Scott Hall.
Unfortunately, yes.
Specifically on what has now been known as a plane ride from hell.
Oh, yeah, we could go on for hours about that.
Yes, there are just so many incidences that went on that plane ride that we could go in. We could probably do an entire show dedicated to that. If you want to know some of them, watch the episode of Dark Side of the Ring.
And then you'll get right up to speed. So those are the demons that we had, which ultimately, unfortunately, led to his release from the WWE.
And then ultimately, I would say, likely killed the NWO, or that version of the NWO.
Yes.
But then from 2002 on and off until 2008, Hall would work for a little company known as Total Nonstop Action.
What is now known nowadays as Impact Wrestling.
Again, during this period, he would be reunited with Kevin Nash.
Yes, would be.
And they would, I would say, attempt to do a similar version of the NWO.
Something like that, yes.
But at the end of his time in TNA is when he would, I would say, ultimately retire from in-ring competition.
He would make various appearances at WWC in 2007 and Juggalo Championship Wrestling from 2007 to 2009.
And then, of course, personal demons and drug use catching up with him. I would say he hit a particularly dark place.
Yes.
Before in 2011-ish,
Yes, he went back to Impact.
I was going to say being rescued by DDP,
Oh yes, of course.
who reached out to Scott Hall, convinced him to move in with him, and as he has done with a few Hall of Famers, save him.
Yes.
Then in 2014, Ramon, Scott Hall under the Ramon name, was going to be inducted into the 2014 Hall of Fame class.
Yes.
And from 2014 until last year, he would make sporadic appearances. Including in 2015, when the Ascension decided to interrupt the NWO on an episode of Raw.
Yes. With some help of the MPA and the New Age Outlaws, they had cracked up.
Then at WrestleMania 31, during a match between Triple H and Sting, in which DX would get involved, he would come out with Nash and Hogan as the NWO. In which some people wished we could get that interaction during the Monday Night Wars, DX versus NWO.
Yes.
Then at WrestleMania 32 in 2016, following Zack Ryder's Intercontinental Championship victory in a ladder match, he was backstage celebrating. And following The Miz picking up the championship the next night, where he would ask Miz to give Ryder a rematch.
Also, in this time period as well, in 2018, the WWE announced he would make an appearance on the 25th anniversary of Monday Night Raw.
Which would take place from Barclays Center and Raw's original location of the Manhattan Center.
And also in 2019, they also had a Raw reunion show as well, which he's part of.
And you're missing out that the Raw 25 was
Oh yes.
him under the original Razor Ramon gimmick, and a segment featuring DX, the Balor Club, and the Revival.
Of course. But then, Scott Hall added another accolade to his repertoire as a two-time Hall of Famer.
Yes, in the New World Order was inducted as part of the 2020 Hall of Fame class. However, due to everyone's favorite virus, 2020 Hall of Fame class was delayed until the 2021 Hall of Fame class, and they did both at the same time.
Yes. So all of us on the Wrestling Talk Show would like to send our sympathies to the family, friends, and fans of Scott Hall, otherwise known as Razor Ramon. So as a mark of respect, we will now toll the bell 10 times.
these situations in the wrestling business, no matter who they are, never get any easier.
They don't. So, thank you, Scott Hall, and we will end on this quote from the man himself. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
Rest in peace, Scott Hall.
Thanks for the memories.